Hi guys, this is Kamal from amz1step.com, and today I have a very special guest with us. His name is Augustus from Orange Click, and he has done some tremendous things in the past. When I was starting my meetup thing locally, when I was organizing meetups for Amazon sellers, I was looking for a person who's doing a great job at this. And when I came across Augustus, when I was looking online, okay, what kind of uh, events are happening in the in the industry. So Augustus was organizing virtual meetups for virtual summits for Amazon sellers, and that was admiring for me. So I've always looked up to him when I started the meetup thing. So today it's an honor for us that he's on our channel. So we're gonna talk about how he jumped into the Amazon space from nowhere, from a freelance web developer to the Amazon event organizer. So if you want to know more about Augustus, his YouTube channel is in the description below. He has interviewed some great experts in the Amazon industry. So there is such a quality content out there. So if you're someone new or an active Amazon sellers, don't forget to check his YouTube channel. There is a quality content out there. So welcome, Augustus. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here and talk to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so take us back in time, Augustus. Like, how did all this start? I know that you were a web developer in the past. How did you end up in the Amazon space?
About 5 years ago, someone introduced me to Amazon FBA business model, and it was really interesting for me. But at that time, I didn't have money to start this kind of business. So for 1 year, I was just following Facebook groups, reading what people are talking about. It was so interesting for me, but it was a pity I couldn't do this business myself due to funds. And then I came up with a idea of doing virtual summit. It is another business model which was very interesting for me. I like doing videos. I didn't do so much in the past, but I was always dreaming of doing videos, and I was always into this kind of video content. Like, it was very fascinating for me. And I came up one day with the idea to combine virtual summit business model with Amazon, talking about Amazon business model. So this is how I jumped into this space 4 years ago by doing virtual summits. And then since then I did like 6 virtual summits, and it was not enough. I wanted the next step, and the next step was organizing in-person events. So afterwards we organized like 5 in-person events up to this point.
Yeah, that is super, that is super cool. Even organizing one conference is a heck of a deal. And you have done 4 in one single year in different countries. I guess there was one in Prague, one in Amsterdam, and then there's Lithuania and Israel. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. I'm originally from Lithuania, and in the past, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I traveled a lot, more than 60 countries. And for me, borders don't exist. So I always like to unite international Amazon sellers in this case. And I don't care in which country to do. Of course, there are some challenges when you organize in-person events in different countries, like legal challenges, but I really like to bring these events to different nationalities and to unite people, these international people.
Yeah, it's quite intriguing that you have been doing virtual summits even before COVID-19. Everyone's doing virtual events now, but you've been doing that for
Right now.
past, past 2 years. It's quite intriguing. So, Augustus, my question for you is, how it has hit, especially the event industry, it has hit hard. Uh, for the conferences or the mass gathering, I know that the global sources that's been postponed, the Prosper show has been postponed. I don't know if it's still happening. Uh, how do you see that the conferences business? When do you expect it to come back to normal? And what are your plans with the future conferences when something new is coming out under the banner of Orange Click?
Mm-hmm. So personally, for us at Orange Click, we didn't affect so much because we were creating online video content. We, on our channel, as you mentioned, we interview different Amazon industry leaders and experts and services, software tools. So we are just continuing to do maybe more videos than normally because we don't need to focus on in-person event organization. But the plan, the dream for this year was about 6 to 8 conferences, live events, but we managed to do only one. We were probably the last Amazon conference in the world before the COVID blocked everything. We were doing event in Prague, European Seller Conference, in the middle of March. And actually we were chopped by different government regulations real time. But I still hope we will manage to do maybe 1 or 2 or maximum 3 events in autumn, in the end of the year. But of course, it will be crazy times. Nobody still knows, while we are recording now this interview, it's still not clear when like restrictions will be relaxed and so on. And my events are international, so it always includes international travel for attendees. So it's another problem that some people might be afraid to just do international travel for several months, if not years. But we are kind of keeping in mind few events, but we are not signing any contracts. Obviously, it's not clear, and it will be crazy because everybody who wanted to do events, between March and August, they are moving these events to the autumn or to the next year, beginning of next year. So there will be crazy amount of these events people will be doing. So it will be a big competition, probably. Maybe not in Amazon industry in Europe. I focus on events in Europe. There are not so many events anyway, but it's crazy situation. But for us, we're still continuing doing our online videos, and we did think to do a virtual summit, but I suspected that there will be a lot of other virtual summits popping up by the time I would be ready with all the production. So I decided not to do virtual summit just because everybody else is doing, and I'm just focusing on other ideas and yeah, trying to be different as always.
That is so true. And Augustus, like, how do you, what's the main difference between the virtual summits and the real life, the real life in-person events? Like, it's the same speakers. What are some of the, the main differences between these two?
Okay, so we can look at, as from the perspective of a producer, let's say me, and from the perspective of the seller, of the attendee. So from the producer's perspective, both virtual and in-person events have challenges, and it's a lot of work, but a little bit different kind of type of work. For a virtual summit, you would sit and record a lot of interviews. You would have to coordinate, let's say, 30, 40 speakers for the virtual summit. It's a lot of communication. For the live event, there is communication, but not so much, because you don't need speakers to deliver presentations before the event. And record them, and video editing, it takes a lot of time. But for the attendee, okay, so for the producer, live event is a different journey, of course, than virtual. And yeah, there is difference, but let's talk about how attendees are experiencing that. So virtual event, it looks exciting. It looks like a lot of, speakers. Usually you get much more speakers than in the live event, but you might easily be overwhelmed. You are distracted by all the social media, by all other emails, all other webinars happening at the same time. So you're not really focusing to that content. And the disadvantage is that you really don't have possibility to network with other Amazon sellers, and even with the speakers. Well, with speakers, you can, of course, after virtual summit, you can write an email, but very often it might be that the speakers will not be replying. It depends on the style of the speaker. In the live event, in-person event, it's completely different experience for the seller. You might hear almost similar content which you hear online from the same speakers, but now you can talk to those speakers directly. You can meet. So I organized 6 virtual summits and 5 in-person events. And already after the first in-person event, I was saying, like, the energy as me as a producer, I get like probably 100 times stronger energy back, because this in-person meeting is very strong experience for everyone. So, and it's more likely that some business corporations will happen during the meetings you do or random people you meet during conferences rather than in virtual events where you have no idea, you have no possibility to meet other people.
That is so true. When you go to the real life conference in person, it's a different vibe. It's a different energy in the conference room. Even when you go to, maybe a lunch break or something, you get to meet the speakers. You get to see the people. You've always watched them on the YouTube. You discover different service providers, at the real life conference, which can probably change your business. So I definitely, understand that, it's 100 or 1,000 times more powerful than the virtual events. So, Augustus, if you want to share some of the benefits that why Amazon sellers should come and join these events and conferences, what are some of the biggest takeaways that sellers, they can get
You mean in-person events?
in person? Yeah.
Live. hmm Well, as I mentioned, networking is a big part. I think this is the strongest part of these events. For those coming to the events for the first time, it doesn't feel like networking is important, so they are looking probably at the speakers, at the presentations. But I think it's more important to look at what kind of people are coming and to yeah, just to take it is possible that you will be disappointed if you are like very introvert and you have not you are shy to approach other people. That's maybe a responsibility of the producer, of the organizer, to create some kind of activities, lunch all together, or maybe some kind of mastermind sessions to that people mix and get to know each other. But yeah, I think for the attendees, it's important to go to the event and to focus on meeting other people. And very often, because I did 5 live events, I hear how I meet the same attendee who was in previous events, and they tell the story how they met someone in the previous event and they are still masterminding every week. So yeah, basically when you meet like-minded person one-on-one in real, you can see if you resonate with that person and you can exchange contacts and make really big things in the future.
That is so true. And the other thing I would like to add here is my business partner. I organized one seminar, I think back in 2017. So that is where I met my business partner. So we've been doing some great things together. So I think, yeah, it's networking is really uh, the key when you go to these conferences. Maybe you never know, you might meet your future business partners, or maybe you get a tip or any golden nugget which can totally change your business. So I definitely understand when the like-minded people meet. When we do the you guys probably aware of that, when we do the local meetups, when there's like 30 people in the room, our finish time is 9, and the Amazon sellers, they're still talking about Amazon till 10:30 or 11, and they just don't want to leave because they resonate and they get along so well because they're like-minded people. So you can imagine spending 2 to 3 days together and grabbing all that information from your fellow sellers. It's a very powerful you know powerful event. So it's definitely recommended. So Augustus, if you would like to share any story that's very close to your heart, because you have done so many events in the past, something that always you know uh, motivates you to keep doing what you're doing, or some cool story that our audience would like to know about all the conferences that you have done, any one out of all those.
I don't have direct stories of maybe success on Amazon, but there are some really, especially from the last conference, which we did in Prague, European Seller Conference. There was one lady before the conference, she was asking me through Facebook for coupon codes. And yeah, usually I don't give to people I don't know coupon codes, and I just gave her like little ones. She explained that it's a very difficult financial situation, and I just said I cannot give more discount. Sorry.
Mhm.
And my thought was like, if you cannot afford the price we're offering for this event, then because you still have to pay for accommodation and flight, then maybe this event is still not at the right moment for you.
Mhm.
And when the event started, my assistant comes and she says, this lady wants to talk to you. Okay, I don't know this lady, what's happening? And she says, yeah, I flew from UK, maybe you remember, I was chatting to you. And she was chatting to me like 6 weeks before the event. I almost forgot. And she says, yeah, I just came, I booked the hotel, I paid the flight, can you give me some offer? So of course I gave you a good offer. Maybe it will not happen to everyone who is doing this, but it was really a touching story. That person just, she wanted to get to this event maybe cheaper, but she just decided to, she saw the lineup. She said one of the speakers was on her vision board, and she said it's her chance to meet him in Europe, because that guy doesn't come often to Europe. And she just said she cannot stay home. And besides all this COVID situation and restrictions which were coming up in her country, she decided to come. And I was really pleased. And
Yeah.
it was really interesting.
I know it can be, super exciting sometimes, when you're meeting, the people you have always watched them on the YouTube, people you have always learned from. So yeah, it can be, super exciting for a lot of sellers. This is my next question for you is like, how different, I know you have done PPC Congress, you are doing European Seller Conference, you're doing Seller Fest as well. How different are these events from each other, and what people should expect, from different events?
Yeah, so European Seller Conference is the flagship event of Orange Clicks brand. And it was born from the idea to bring some important event for Amazon sellers internationally in Europe, because there is no really consistent yearly annual event in Europe. There are some random popping up here and there. Some, let's say, amazing.com did something, then somebody else did, but there is no consistency. And I wanted some place where people can come back every year and look forward to it. So this is how it was born. It is a little bit, it's not maybe not affordable to everyone. It's more targeting intermediate sellers, and we try to bring good speakers. And yeah, we are very selective because we get a lot of speaker applications for this event. Seller Fest was born from the idea when we first, I thought there were a lot of Israelis coming to Prague event, to the European Sellers Conference. And I thought, why they are coming? Why don't they stay and participate in their own events? And I found out that they don't really have like international events. So we decided to do a little bit low budget event in Israel together with a partner. It was a Quantify Ninja company.
Mhm.
Also, it's a software for Amazon sellers. And the idea of this event, and this is how Seller Fest, we did at the moment just 2 Seller Fests. We wanted to do more this year, but the idea of Seller Fest is event for local community, let's say in Israel or in Lithuania or in Spain. And we bring some international speakers. So local community has a possibility to meet international speakers. And also this is a low budget event. Probably we would not have dinner at the end, maybe even no lunch. We will have a long break. So you go and eat lunch in the lunch break. And we make it very affordable so that as many people as possible can come. And the idea is to bring events where, there are no events. Like we wanted to bring this year to Romania. Well, Romania does have events, but we still wanted to bring Seller Fest there. But the idea would be to come to the countries where they don't have like really Amazon focused events. And PPC Congress, the name says it all. It's for Amazon, for those who are interested in Amazon advertising. So basically for 3 types of attendees. It's for software creators, which are creating software for PPC automation, for example. Also for agencies, which are serving Amazon sellers with the advertising and PPC. And also for Amazon sellers, which are maybe dealing with their PPC themselves, or they are looking for service providers and want to search in such kind of event. So it was really very unique event, PPC Congress. I'm quite proud of it, and it was very successful. We had 130 people from around the world. People were flying from Asia, from US, and all these PPC gurus met in one place,
Yeah.
finally.
That is so true. I can imagine we went to the White Label Expo in Vegas. That was in February, and it was a mixture of like a lot of CBD companies plus Amazon. So it was a kind of the first time they're doing it in the North America, and a bunch of Amazon companies like Helium 10 and all other companies. We hanged out. It's a fun to hang out with the fellow companies or fellow sellers after the event. It's such a such a great environment to be in. So again, I'm talking to Augustus from Orange Click. If you want to know more about him, the link is in the description below, and check out his channel. I'm sure you will be, there's ton of, it's like Amazon University, the amount of content he has produced with some of the great Amazon experts. Go check it out. And Augustus, before we end this call, what are some of the tips that you would like to share with Amazon sellers? It could be anything related to the events or in general. What are some of the tips that the closing remarks from you?
Well, as I said, I traveled a lot, and I saw impact in myself, in my personality by visiting different cultures. So if you cannot travel or you cannot afford or you don't have time to travel, I would still encourage to meet in person or online sellers, Amazon sellers, or whatever you're doing, whatever business you're doing in other countries. Because yeah, talking about the same business, about the same ideas with a person in Russia or in China or in Africa or in United States, everybody will bring different point of view, and it's very, very, very powerful when you can enrich yourself with these different ideas, thinking, bringing you out of the box. So I would just encourage to network with the international people in whatever way possible.
This is perfect. Thank you so much, Augustus, again for being on the show, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you very much, Kamal. It was a pleasure, and see you later.